Lu Sheng closed his eyes, placed his hand over his chest and bowed to Yang Yizhuo as a form of respect, and with a curious expression asked what was his martial path. He had seen the domain of Wang Qiandu and Yefeng but not that of Yang Yizhuo. Yang Yizhuo began to gaze at the ground in silence, and then a smile spread across his face. Upon noticing this, Lu Sheng's attention fixed on him. Not long after, Yang Yizhuo decided to show Lu Sheng his martial path, and while his body was surrounded by green martial energy, he extended his hand. With a joyful expression, Yang Yizhuo began to control the wind. Lu Sheng, who was standing in front, remained silently observing attentively. Not long after, Yang Yizhuo's energy transformed into a Go board. Lu Sheng's attention was fixed on it and his eyes widened in surprise and confusion. Then Yang Yizhuo picked up one of the Go pieces, and while his eyes were shining with seriousness, with a smile he made his move and placed the piece on the board, revealing that everything Lu Sheng had seen was his domain. Lu Sheng's eyes widened in fear and surprise. He was in shock as he could not believe that this vast world, which was a grand creation, was Yang Yizhuo's domain. With a sincere gaze, Yang Yizhuo turned to the side and revealed that after this game of Go he was going to reveal some secrets. Lu Sheng remained silent, not knowing what to say. Yang Yizhuo turned his back on our boy and began walking alongside Wang Qiandu and Ye Feng and asked Lu Sheng to follow them. Lu Sheng's attention was fixed on them, making him feel confused since he didn't know what was happening. He decided to listen to the master and they all started walking under the starry sky in silence. Several seconds later, with eyes shining with seriousness, they stopped walking. Yang Yizhuo closed his eyes, concentrated and extended his hand to one side, causing blue martial energy to begin to emerge from his body. In the blink of an eye, Yang Yizhuo created 5 lava planets in the sky. Lu Sheng, who was standing behind, remained silent. He raised his head and while his eyes were shining with sincerity, he revealed that those planets had already perished in the calamity and Lu Sheng's world was facing the same destruction. With a curious gaze, Lu Sheng asked if the beasts from another world were really that terrifying, and if someone powerful like a master couldn't stop them. All the planets were floating in the sky, with a serious gaze. Yang Yizhuo, who had his arms behind his back, turned toward Lu Sheng and our boy soon realized that the invasion of the beasts was not as simple as he thought, and the world they came from was not just any world. Yang Yizhuo closed his eyes, concentrated and began to move his hand, causing a strange energy to appear in the sky. Yang Yizhuo began to observe it and revealed that it was the dark side of countless material universes, the source of all evil, the concentration of all negative energy. The beasts Lu Sheng had seen were only the most superficial manifestation of that power. Lu Sheng's eyes began to shine with rage and fear, realizing that it was the negative energy of countless material universes, and now a single universe had to bear it, being an unstoppable calamity. Yang Yizhuo's eyes began to shine with seriousness. He turned his back on Lu Sheng and mentioned that the most crucial thing was that, once this force appeared in Lu Sheng's universe, it would mean that the true end of his universe was near. Lu Sheng began to ponder in silence, and then, with a confused gaze, asked why that was going to happen. Since then, an apple appeared in Yang Yizhuo's hand. With a serene expression, he made clear that the reason was simple. Lu Sheng's attention was fixed on the apple and his eyes widened with curiosity. Using his fingers, Yang Yizhuo cut the apple in half and showed it to Lu Sheng. The reality was that the apple was contaminated. Lu Sheng began to observe carefully and his eyes widened in surprise upon realizing that once this force corrupted, it was like the beginning of putrefaction. No matter what was done, at most it could only be delayed. Yang Yizhuo tightly grabbed the apple and with a sincere gaze nodded his head. Lu Sheng clenched his fists and with a confused gaze began to wonder what meaning his actions had now, since not even the level 15 and 16 masters could stop the calamity. Yang Yizhuo revealed that everything had already begun and the fate was sealed. Upon hearing this, Lu Sheng could not help but wonder what he could do. Yang Yizhuo and the others turned their backs on Lu Sheng. Our boy clenched his fists and began to gaze at the ground. At that moment, Lu Sheng was dejected. Although he never underestimated himself, he was neither blind nor arrogant. The 3 people in front of him were infinitely more powerful. It could be said that in the future his achievements would not be inferior to theirs, But if even they could not manage to do it, how could Lu Sheng do better alone? His eyes began to shine with honesty. He was an ordinary person. And when he learned that his world would be destroyed in 10,000 years, he thought that he could still keep fighting a little longer. But the destruction of the universe was something too big, so there was nothing he could do. With eyes shining with joy, Wang Qiu and Duan Yefeng turned around while Yang Yizhuo continued turning his back on our boy. Lu Sheng began to look at his master and mentioned that recently he had witnessed the level 15 demand, even 16. According to him, it was majestic and resplendent. But now they were telling him that all that effort in the end led only to a dead end. Everything was in vain. With a curious expression, Yang Yizhuo turned around and asked if Lu Sheng was afraid. With eyes shining with confusion, Lu Sheng lowered his head and admitted to being a little scared. Just then, the apple that Yang Yizhuo was holding in his hand began to burn, and not long after, the flames consumed it. Yang Yizhuo's eyes began to shine with confidence, and with a smile he couldn't believe that Lu Sheng, who once thought about surviving among death and looked like the spark capable of holding up the sky with one hand, was now afraid. Just then, Lu Sheng's eyes widened in surprise. Plunging his fist, Lu Sheng began to imagine the system windows and his mind filled with confusion. He didn't know if all of this had been a plan by Yang Yizhuo. Realizing that all of this had been a test, in a certain sense, the system did not lie. That was the true future of the universe. With a smile, Yang Yizhuo turned around, extended his hand toward Lu Sheng and mentioned that, before Lu Sheng was just an ordinary high school student who had not started the martial path and still had the determination to save the world. Now he was millions of times stronger than back then and faced with the same supreme calamity. Now he wanted to retreat. With a joyful gaze, Wang Qi and Duan Yefeng began to show a smile. Yang Yizhuo closed his eyes and a smile spread across his face. He asked Lu Sheng not to forget that he had their support. Lu Sheng's eyes widened in surprise and he began to ponder in silence. With a sincere expression, he admitted that before he was useless but dared to do anything, and now being millions of times stronger, he had become a coward. With eyes shining with rage, Lu Sheng clenched his fist, realizing that the stronger a warrior was, the smaller their determination. With a curious gaze, Yang Yizhuo asked if Lu Sheng had understood and if he had regained his confidence. With a smile, Lu Sheng began to touch his head, looked away, and with a nervous expression said that he had not regained confidence. But he knew that with the help of his masters, at least he would be able to advance a few steps more than them. With eyes shining with determination, he decided to check if this catastrophe was truly unstoppable. Upon hearing this, the eyes of Yang Yizhuo and the others widened in surprise and their jaws dropped in shock. They could not help but smile and feel joyful. With a proud smile, Yang Yizhuo mentioned that he had hundreds of millions of disciples. Upon hearing this, Wang Qiu's and Duan Yefeng's attention focused on him. Yang Yizhuo touched Lu Sheng's chest and made it clear that among the millions of disciples he had, the one he was most proud of was Lu Sheng. Upon hearing this, Lu Sheng's eyes filled with surprise. He couldn't help but smile and feel happy to see that he had been recognized by his master. Wang Qiu crossed his arms and passed by Lu Sheng, while on the other side, with a smile, Duan Yefeng placed his hand on his shoulder. They stood around Lu Sheng, and now that our boy was willing to take a few steps forward, they decided to help him with all their strength. With a confused gaze, Lu Sheng began to turn his head from side to side. Wang Qiu focused and a powerful martial energy began to emerge from his body. His domain, the domain of the stars, was now complete and he was going to give it to Lu Sheng. Wang Qi used his power and his energy shot out towards Lu Sheng. Little by little it began to enter Lu Sheng's body, causing him terrible pain. Lu Sheng's eyes widened in confusion and fear. He did not know if he was going to die. The energy fused with Lu Sheng's body. With a surprised gaze, he realized that this was infinite fire. This was completely different from what he had learned before. At this moment, Wang Qiu had just given him his level 15 martial arts knowledge without reservations. Duan Yefeng also focused and a crystal ball appeared in his hands. His younger fellow disciple had transmitted everything he knew to Lu Sheng. So as the more experienced disciple, he could not fall behind. He decided to give Lu Sheng his divine crystal domain. The energy of Duan Yefeng also began to enter Lu Sheng's body. Our boy opened his mouth and began to scream in pain. Their energies began to emerge from Lu Sheng's body. His attention was fixed on his hands. This was the ultimate edge, the light of divinity. He had obtained 2 level 15 domains. With a smile, Yang Yizhou began to touch his chin and mentioned that it was still a little early for Lu Sheng to receive his domain. He reached out his hand to Lu Sheng and touched his forehead, causing his eyes to widen in surprise. Yang Yizhou's energy entered Lu Sheng's body, and he appeared in space. Yang Yizhou had given him a universe. Lu Sheng was paralyzed with shock as he did not know what was happening. With eyes shining with joy, Yang Yizhou began to show a smile. He hoped that Lu Sheng could obtain what he desired. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part,